guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. First, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Crystal Grizzle. I'm the event marketing specialist for Atlas School. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the investment of your time to be here tonight. What we're talking about is something that's very important to me, and I assume very important to you, and if not, it will be. It should be. So what we're talking about tonight, what brought us here kind of is equal pay day and what that represents. A lot of people don't quite understand the premise of it, and it's that as of this year, I have to work 83 additional days into 2025 to make what a average male peer of mine made last year. And that is, of course, it has variances. It depends on your field. It depends on your minority status. A lot of, there are additional indicators, but that is just 83 days as an average woman against an average man. So that is the kind of the definition. I started really digging into this recently, and I learned that we actually here at City of Tulsa have a mayor's pay equity pledge. And it is companies and organizations that agree to ban questions about previous salary history to candidates for hire or promotion. Committing to ongoing diversity, equity, and inclusion training for employees responsible for recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and promoting, and reviewing employee pay to ensure compliance with the Equal Pay Act. And so I just really wanted to jump ahead real quick and say, number one, I am proud to work currently for an organization that is signed on. Thank you, Atlas School. And not only that, but 9 of our corporate partners, the people that we are interacting with, our students are interacting with, that we're sending off to work for, have also committed to that. And so I really just want to say thanks to the City of Tulsa, Arvest Bank, BOK Financial, TTCU, Tulsa International Airport, Tulsa Regional Chamber, Lufthansa Technik, Williams, and Aon. Thank you, guys. And Dr. Latta will have more information if your organization is interested in signing that pledge as well at her table. So to speak on the work that's being done at the City of Tulsa Women's Commission tonight is Dr. Laura Latta. She's with us. She's the present chair of the commission, and so we would like to welcome her to the stage now.
Well, hello, everybody. It is so good to be here. And anytime that I have the awesome privilege of coming over to Atlas, I feel like it is such a hub of innovation. Isn't this beautiful? Like, let's give a round of applause for all of the Atlas folks. This place is beautiful. So as Crystal mentioned, I serve as the chair of the Tulsa Women's Commission. And earlier when I was over across the way, had a few conversations with folks that said, I actually didn't know that Tulsa had a women's commission. And quite frankly, neither did I for a very long time. So that's why I'm here, to tell you about it and to tell you about our work, because we don't want to be a best kept secret. We want to be out there and spreading the word about the importance of equity for women in the workforce and women in society in general. So I'm just so thrilled to be here with you today. I'm actually going to be talking about childcare. And so even if you may be a parent, you may be a caregiver, and even if you're not, you probably know someone who is. And I'm going to say this probably 3 or 4 times tonight, but childcare is not just a women's issue. It's not just a family issue. It is a workforce issue. Yes, that's right. We can clap for that. So I'm going to talk about the cost of caregiving and the weight of having a gap in childcare access and how it impacts women in their career trajectories. So I'm really excited to take you on this journey. First, I want to start by addressing what I call the impossible equation. So the reality is that childcare costs have become prohibitively expensive for many families. We're looking at about $10,000 to $20,000 annually per child. That's a staggering number. And that amount consumes about 20 to 35% of a single parent's income. And for about 60% of families, childcare takes up more than 20% of their entire household budget. And so for many women, this creates impossible decisions, particularly for women, not always for women, but it tends to fall often on women who have to weigh their career aspirations against the astronomical weight and cost of childcare. Many find themselves asking whether working is even financially viable when childcare costs consume such a large portion of their income. Before we dive deeper, I want to make a personal connection to this particular issue. So I am a mom, and my kiddos are here tonight. You are hearing them right now. I also am a former teacher and a current college professor. I teach at OU Tulsa. I teach undergrad future education, or current education majors, future teachers. And I've taught kindergarten, first grade, fourth grade. I love teaching, but I left the teaching profession because I wanted to have my own kids. And I knew that I wasn't going to have parental leave. I wasn't going to have the resources that I needed to invest in the family that I wanted to create. Again, I love it so much though, and I will always and forever support teachers and educators. And now I serve as the chair of the Women's Commission, and we are really focused on childcare access. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the childcare crisis and the numbers. We're going to do some data diving, and then we'll explore what I called the triple penalty for women, followed by the specific economic impact here in Tulsa. Most important, we're going to discuss solutions and recommendations developed by the Tulsa Women's Commission and ways that everyone in this room can get involved to promote equity for women. So this was a March article that came out. Short state funding, Oklahoma is losing childcare providers. This is another one of those impossible equations. It's a supply and demand issue. The demand is great and the supply of childcare for families is decreasing. The situation in Oklahoma is particularly concerning. So out of our 77 counties, 33 are classified as childcare deserts, meaning that even if you wanted childcare, you couldn't find it. There aren't positions for children to attend childcare. Between 2017 and 2022, we saw a 17.3% reduction in licensed childcare programs across the state. So as you can see in this article, Oklahoma's minimal state funding for childcare has contributed to this decline, leaving families with fewer options despite the growing demand. Beyond access, affordability provides another significant barrier. So this graph demonstrates how childcare costs have outpaced other household expenses since 1990. So you've been complaining about the price of eggs, but while the housing costs and groceries and other expenses have increased at a pretty steady rate, lately pretty alarming, childcare costs have skyrocketed, increasing 200% faster than housing and groceries. Again, it just blows my mind. The average cost of $10,000 to $20,000 annually per child is unimaginable for some families. And so one person has to make a decision to stay home, or if it's a single earner household or a single family, then it is a very impossible decision to make. Women face what's called the triple penalty in the workforce when it comes to caregiving responsibilities. So this consists of three interconnected challenges: the pay gap, the career penalty, and the career segregation effect. So let's look at this in detail. So first, we have the pay gap. As this map shows here, women consistently earn less than men in the same positions across all states. I was actually a little bit encouraged by Crystal's news. Was that 86 cents? But this says 76. I still am not okay with that, or earning just 84 cents for every dollar that a man earns. But this disparity persists across industries, and it widens, especially for women of color. So there is a massive inequity. The impact compounds over a lifetime, affecting everything from retirement savings to financial independence. So think about it. If there is a situation where a woman makes a decision to exit the workforce, she then surrenders the opportunity to contribute to a 401k or a retirement account. And for the years that she's not in the workforce, she's not investing in that account. So she's excluded from the equation of that retirement opportunity. When combined with childcare costs, this pay gap often makes women the default choice for stepping back. So this gap, if there's let's say, for example, there's two earners in the household, there's a man and there's a woman, and the woman makes less, then the woman has to take, has to step back from careers when families need to make financial trade-offs. So to address this locally, the Tulsa Women's Commission, and this was under the leadership of Dr. Meg Myers-Morgan, really led the Pay Equity Pledge in 2021. So again, if you'd like to read the Pay Equity Pledge, if you'd like to sign the Equity Pledge for your business, you can see me at the table after the fact. Businesses that sign the pledge commit to 3 key actions. So number 1, banning questions about previous salary history, implementing diversity and inclusion training, and regularly reviewing employee pay to ensure compliance with the Equal Pay Act. The second penalty is what we call the caregiver penalty. And I'm going to be pretty vulnerable and share this photo with you, which was the scene at my house like 2 weeks after I had a baby. And even though I did have a really supportive boss, I felt the enormous weight that if I stepped out of my job, that I was going to lose out on opportunities. That is a cultural norm that many women face, that exists as that caregiver penalty. I was trying to do it all with my printer on my table, with my, don't worry, I didn't put him on the table, but I know you're not supposed to do that. And they're good. They're all good. They're here. But he sure did. So for many women, if there's a pause in a career, if they take parental leave, there's fear or even the reality that there could be long-term effects on advancement and opportunities and earning potential. Research shows a clear motherhood penalty and a fatherhood bonus. So mothers face wage penalties and a perception bias, while fathers often they see salary increases and are viewed as more committed. The pandemic exacerbated this divide, with women leaving the workforce at much higher rates than men due to childcare challenges. And then the third penalty is the career segregation effect. So female-dominated professions like education, social work, nursing, and especially childcare are systematically undervalued and underpaid. So this chart over here, the left side are the top earning professions, and the left side, the top earning, the right side are the bottom earning professions. The blue represents male-dominated, the pink represents female-dominated. And so from this visual, you can gather a lot of the top earning professions tend to be held by men, and while the bottom earning professions, which if you look really closely, childcare worker is there, and nursing is there. A lot of those women-dominated professions are the lowest earning professions. Childcare workers, who are predominantly women, earn less than half the salary of public school teachers, despite providing equally crucial educational services to our youngest children. Only about 1 in 10 childcare workers receive benefits like health insurance or retirement plans. So this undervaluation creates a really, really troubling cycle where those who are caring for our children can barely afford to care for their own families. Speaking of education, do we have any teachers in the room? And actually, my third grade teacher is in the room. She's the reason why I love C.S. Lewis, so I had to shout her out. But speaking of education, because I cannot talk about teachers and not talk about, I have to talk about pay equity. So let's consider the discrepancy in how we value teachers. In Tulsa, the starting salary for teachers is $43,500. And remember, early childhood teachers get paid about half of that. Yet, we expect teachers to hold expertise that would command much higher salaries in other fields. Communication skills worth $100,000. Financial management worth $90,000. Let me tell you how many hours I spent reporting data to my principal, who was then turning that into federal grant reporting. Training abilities worth $171,000. Health knowledge comparable to $80,000 in nursing positions. I did a lot of, anyway, I wore a lot of hats when I was a kindergarten teacher, and if anybody's been a teacher before, you know how that goes. Social work skills valued at $70,000 elsewhere. Child development expertise, testing capabilities, and diplomatic skills. Because if you've ever tried to host a parent-teacher conference, you have to have diplomacy. And then I realized I didn't account for entertainer. And I was like, what does Taylor Swift make? But when totaled, these skills would command $763,333 in other professions. Yet, we compensate teachers at a fraction of that amount. So teachers are bearing the burden to hold the expertise for pennies compared to what their worth is. Looking at Tulsa specifically, we see that 27% of our population is 19 and under, representing a significant need for childcare services, yet we've experienced the same 17.3% reduction in licensed childcare programs seen statewide. The economic impact is substantial, and I know I've said it a few times, but I really want to drive that point home. A lack of childcare has caused more than 1 in 10 Oklahomans to change jobs, reduce hours, or leave the workforce entirely. So this translates to $1.2 billion in lost productivity for our state. As Allison Garrett points out in this article, quality childcare is essential infrastructure for workforce development. I'm not going to camp out on this one too long. I actually learned about this report this morning, and I was like, I've just got to throw it in here. But the United We report, in combination with OSU, it's an incredible report that further illuminates the barriers to childcare access in Oklahoma. Quality childcare is the ultimate backstage crew for workforce development. It helps parents balance work and family responsibilities and provides supplemental learning experiences for our future engineers, scientists, healthcare providers, and teachers, and tech experts. Investing in childcare is both a short-term and a long-term strategy. Talk about recruitment. If you want to recruit high-quality businesses and talent, provide solid childcare. If you want to train up the future workforce, provide solid childcare. Invest in childcare. We've got a ton of incredible researchers in Tulsa that are seeing that high-quality childcare has long-lasting effects far after a child is in preschool or early childhood education. Dr. Diane Horm out of OU, is an exceptional researcher at OU Tulsa, 41st and Yale. And this is nationally renowned research that is coming out. So, the Tulsa Women's Commission, with all of this data, it really put a fire in our belly to do something about it. What could we do? And our task, our charge, is to come together and do the research, ask questions, and then provide recommendations for the mayor and for the city that can be tangible and helpful. So the first thing that we did was we didn't really know that if there were any resources out there for parents. So I'm embarrassed to even show this in a place where beautiful websites are created, but we created a very rudimentary website where we just have started throwing resources like a child care locator, and research about childcare all in one place. I'll give you the URL in just a second, but again, I'm a little embarrassed because it's very rudimentary. We collected experiences from caregivers across the entire city about the things that they were facing and how daunting it was to identify and find a place for their child to go to school. This is Judith Barba Perez, and she was talking about how hard it was, first of all, to find a spot for her daughter, but then also the second was that her daughter had allergies, and so finding a place that could accommodate the allergies that her child had, that was a whole nother realm of challenge. And so even if you could find a spot, finding one that could accommodate the needs of a child, of that particular child. I want to acknowledge over the course of last year, we had 3 different forums where people came together and contributed their expertise about childcare. And ultimately from that work came our Tulsa Women's Commission Childcare Access Report. I'm sure there are flashier reports out there, but we're pretty proud of it, and it's a great start for us to have that conversation about how can we improve childcare in our city. Based on our research and community input, the Tulsa Women's Commission has developed 5 key recommendations for businesses. The first one, promote a family-friendly workplace. And policies. So this includes flexible scheduling and remote work options. So when you have a staff meeting at 8 a.m., it's really hard for parents to get there because they have drop off and pick up and all that jazz. Generous paid family leave policies, pay equity for all working parents, and inclusive practices for all caregivers. These policies help retain talented employees while supporting families. The second, increase access to affordable, high-quality child care. Businesses can offer employer-sponsored on-site, and if that's not appealing, near-site child care. They can provide child care vouchers or stipends or establish partnerships with local providers for discounted rates and invest in high-quality in-home options. These approaches make quality child care more accessible to employees. The third recommendation, develop an integrated child care support system. So a multi-pronged approach, not just flexibility, but being considerate of creating an inclusive environment, helping families navigate assistance, create support groups for working parents, and back up child care connections when regular arrangements fall through, or it's the summer, because what do we do with kids in the summer? An integrated system recognizes that childcare needs are complex and require comprehensive solutions. The fourth is more of a systemic leader approach, and there are things that can be done from the highest levels, like incentivize businesses for creating an inclusive environment for caregivers and families. Recruitment and retention benefits, leveraging tax credits and subsidies, and aligning child care support with corporate values. This can promote the business, and if our city leaders can put an emphasis and a spotlight on this need, it can make such a difference. And then the fifth, address child care challenges collaboratively. So this includes addressing inflexible work schedules, fostering a culture of empathy for caregivers, providing counseling and support groups, and offering financial assistance and options. So it doesn't have to be completed in a silo. It doesn't just have to be the one employer. It can be multiple employers in a community-wide approach to support the families and the caregivers that they employ. We know, though, that this can seem like a really tall order to fill. So we've suggested a leveled approach, starting with the most basic. Get started, flexible schedules. Level 2, enhance the support through paid family leave. Level 3, comprehensive integration with child care vouchers. Level 4, community leadership through on-site childcare. And level 5, systemic change through advocacy to strengthen the childcare workforce. So it doesn't have to be jump into the farthest depth of the pool. You can ease into it if you're a business that's trying to create an environment that is inclusive and considerate of caregivers. The Tulsa Women's Commission has created this website, twcchildcareresources.com/about. We'd love for you to visit it and take a look at some of the resources that we've curated. And there are some resources for employers as well. The childcare crisis is not, again, it's not just a women's issue. It's not just a family issue. It's an economic imperative for our community. So here are some ways that you can take action. So visit the resource table to pick up our childcare report. Connect with employers that are leading the way and supporting caregivers, just like Atlas and Atlas's partners. Advocate for caregiver supportive policies in your own workplace. Join our efforts through getting involved with the Tulsa Women's Commission. We meet every first Friday at noon, and it's an open meeting. We'd love to see you there. 4th floor at City Hall. Join us. Actually, right now we're looking at, we've been really studying tech opportunities for women in Tulsa. So right down the lane of probably many people here. Together, we can create meaningful change that benefits families, businesses, and our entire community. And I would be so remiss if I did not mention the incredible commissioner, Dr. Meg Myers-Morgan. I mentioned that she did a lot of work on the Pay Equity Pledge. She also wrote the book, Everything is Negotiable, The 5 Tactics to Get What You Want in Life, Love, and Work. It's an exceptional book, and I would recommend it highly. It's really shifted my thinking on how to advocate for what I need and what I want. So that's all I've got. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope this has illuminated some of the trends in childcare and how it impacts women's opportunities. You can reach me at this email address, and you also can access a copy of the report by scanning that QR code. Thank you so much.